Hello, Synacor family. This is Kelly Webb with Synacor Human Resources Department. Today we are going to talk about Synacor's Leadership Development Program, otherwise known as the LEAD program. LEAD stands for Leadership, Engagement, Accountability, and Development. Most specifically today, we're really going to be focusing on the mentoring portion of the program. And a lot of people ask me, what is mentoring anyway? So mentoring is support and encouragement that's provided to help people manage their own learning in order that they may maximize their potential and become the person they want to be. So again, the focus is on managing their own learning. The mentoring is there for support. Mentoring is also a developmental partnership. The mentor shares knowledge, skills, information, and perspective to support the personal and professional growth of the mentee. It's a powerful tool supporting leadership development and helps to further Synacor's mission as we continue to grow and strive to serve more clients in more locations. A mentor is a guide who can help the mentee find the right direction and who can help develop solutions to issues. Mentors rely on their skills and experiences to help the mentee. There's no specialized mentor training course that they have to take. Both mentors and mentees for our annual LEAD program both complete this same kickoff webinar. So everybody is starting from the same spot, understanding what this LEAD program is all about. Mentoring itself is about risk, vulnerability, and trust. So the two key components there are really being able to be vulnerable yourself, both mentors and mentees, to be able to build up that trust and working relationship. The success of the mentoring relationship depends to a large degree upon your attitude and your commitment to this partnership. And again, that is both on the side of the mentor and the mentee. Formal mentoring programs do have a beginning and an end. Synacor's mentoring program and LEAD program starts February 1st and ends December 31st of each year. This includes the compensation that is assigned for the duties that are associated with Tier 2 and Tier 3 portions of the program. Formal mentoring programs also have a formal matching process. This took place at the November ELC, matching mentor strengths to potential mentee developmental needs. As you all know, the mentees submit their applications to the LEAD program, and they may list specific mentors that they would like to work with, or they may list specific skills or knowledge or experience that they are hoping to gain, and so they are seeking a mentor with those specific things. We use all of that information plus our knowledge of the pool of mentors that we have to pull from to make these assignments. Formal mentoring programs also have structured goals for the mentee. The goal sheets are going to be sent out after the completion of this webinar, and you'll receive some instructions on how to do that. The mentee then fills out this goal sheet. The goal should be structured for what you want to achieve with your career path. They do this with the assistance of their supervisor or facility director and ultimately their mentor as well. Formal mentoring programs also have scheduled meeting times between mentor and mentee. So our mentoring programs has at least 2 hours per month that the mentee schedules with their mentor using Microsoft Outlook Calendar. It's either 30 minutes every week or 1 hour every other week. Mentees figure that time out with their mentors. They come to some reasonable conclusion of what works best for both, and then the mentee will send the recurring calendar appointment. If you as the mentee are unsure how to send a recurring calendar appointment, please ask your supervisor or your mentor to help you with that. We also have documented checkpoints. We will have a 60-day follow-up form that will be sent out to help ensure progress throughout the year, and then a final evaluation at year end. We also have a method for no-fault termination. If the mentorship is not working for any reason, either the mentor or the mentee can contact HR to request a no-fault termination and reassignment. So what are the benefits of participating in Synacor's LEAD program and specifically the mentoring program? Mentors have the opportunity to develop and or improve interpersonal leadership and coaching skills. satisfaction of passing on knowledge, skills, and experience to others. Reverse mentoring as you learn about other positions, departments, or locations that maybe you don't already know about. So there's some reverse mentoring and reverse learning going on at the same time. Increased visibility within the foundation, the opportunity to give back to our industry by assisting in the development of upcoming leaders in the foundation, and the opportunity to expand your network and improve communication across facilities. Mentees, you have the opportunity to gain insight into the perspective of more experienced and tenured staff. Opportunity to improve work performance by shortening the learning curve, hopefully by hearing about and learning from others' mistakes or other challenges that they've faced. It will shorten the learning curve for you, and you might not have to make some of those same mistakes. Have the opportunity to develop or improve leadership strengths and characteristics, learning new professional and technical skills, receiving valuable career advice, and also gaining access to a larger network. Additionally, some mentees also receive personal support from your mentor. You talk about both personal and professional items at times during your mentoring calls. That is absolutely acceptable. And so there are a lot of times that may happen as well. And last but not least, mentees gain a broader view of challenges facing the foundation when they are the more experienced, more tenured staff is sharing perspective and other opportunities within the foundation. So mentor roles and responsibilities. Some other titles for mentor might be role model, trusted coach, sponsor, advisor. Mentor responsibilities include, first and foremost, be available as scheduled. We know that things come up, but if possible, try and schedule your time with your mentee during the least disruptive part of your day so you can keep those appointments as much as you possibly can. Please give your mentee your undivided attention during the time scheduled. For example, I put a sign up on my door that I'm in a mentoring call. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I put my Skype on Do Not Disturb. And I close down my Outlook calendar. So that way I am not tempted to multitask. It is part of human nature. It's part of what we do. So please try and give yourself the best opportunity to set your intention, to stay focused, and to do so. Additionally, your role is to help identify strengths and weaknesses, help to provide insight, feedback, and knowledge that support the goal achievement of the mentee. Create an atmosphere where your mentee feels free to say what is on his or her mind by being supportive in your communication. You know, sometimes a mentee might share something, they're younger in their career, and in your head you might be thinking, what were you thinking? Why would you do that? Certainly not what you want to express in your verbal communication. You know, you want to be supportive. So tell me your thought process leading up to this. What was it that brought you to this decision or this conclusion? Be supportive and walk your mentee through where the communication or the situation might have gone wrong, but be supportive in that communication and how you bring them to another solution or resolution. Ask questions that help the mentee become aware of assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes that may be hindering him or her in getting results. We all come to the table with a certain set of experiences that led us to where we are in our life, certain biases that we may be unaware of, certain filters that we may have, or lenses that we view things through. And a lot of times it's not even, we're not even aware of that. So helping a mentee see that and work to overcome it is a critical part of the mentor role. Actively listen when meeting with the mentee. Again, paying attention, staying focused, being intentional, minimizing your distractions. Provide guidance, help interpret events. Sometimes you may have some context that the mentee doesn't necessarily have, depending on your position with the foundation or your location. You may have more information that you're able to share. And then work to develop solutions to current challenges. As you do that, the thing that I would encourage is to avoid making decisions for your mentee. Early in my career, I used to say, well, here's what I would do. Let's just cut to the chase. Here's what I would do with this. And later on in your career, you learn how to say, so if I wasn't available, if you were the only person and you had to make your decision without calling, texting, emailing, Skyping anyone, what would your decision be right now? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to have a fairly similar thought process. They may not get to the decision the same way that you do, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to come to a sound decision. So by working them through this process, you assist them in making their own decision and give them confidence in their decision making skills. At the end of the day, leadership development is the goal of this program. Helping the mentee work through operational situations or conversations may be the start of some of the conversations that you have. For example, let's say, I have a mentee and they're having difficulty um, having communication with Fred in their facility. And so we talk through that situation, ask some questions, get to what they think is the best solution, help them implement that. And then we move that conversation instead of just the difficult conversations or communication with Fred. How do we modify our communication as leaders to make sure that we are communicating effectively with all different types of personalities and individuals, because we all don't like to be communicated with the same way. So how do you learn to recognize that in the other person and then be able to communicate in a way that's effectively works effectively with them? Support your mentee's supervisory structure as well as the foundation's goals and our culture. So you wouldn't want to give advice to a mentee that is contradictory to Cinecor's strategic plan, our culture. If there's a question about whether or not it may be contradictory to the supervisor, I would refer the mentee back to the supervisor. But be committed to the mentoring relationship, respect the individual, and honor the confidentiality of that relationship. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit more. If at any point you feel you are not qualified as the mentor to handle certain challenging situations, conversations, or problems, please refer the mentee back to the appropriate party. It could be their supervisor. If the issue is large enough, it could be back to HR if it presents legal risk. And so just think about it. If you don't feel like you're the right person to have that conversation, who can you refer that mentee to that can assist? Mentee roles and responsibilities. Other titles you may hear for mentee would be competent professional, learner, apprentice, or protege. Main responsibility, ownership of your development. You are the driving force. You are the driving force for the appointments, for the forms. You take responsibility for your own growth and development. What Cinecor and your mentor provide is support. So schedule your appointments, complete your mentoring program documentation. Please don't let it get to a point where your mentor or the HR department is chasing you down to follow up on your appointments or documentation. Take ownership of your development, and that will get you a long way in this program. When you sit down with your goal sheet, set clear goals and objectives and take the initiative in reaching your goals. Use your mentor to help you overcome obstacles to your goals. Be prepared for your mentoring meetings with questions. Have input on your specific mentoring goals. This is your meeting. Be the driver. You can even have an agenda. Most importantly, be on time for your scheduled mentoring meetings. Our mentors have blocked out of their regular work schedule time for you to help build you as a professional and pour into your professional development. Please be respectful of that time. We understand everyone is busy. You're busy. Your mentor is busy. If you need to reschedule, that's perfectly fine. Please just make sure you do that in advance of the appointment, even if it's just a couple of minutes in advance. Please don't let your mentor be sitting there by the phone waiting for your scheduled call. Mentoring meetings should be results oriented, not just a venting session. Granted, sometimes these mentoring sessions, and this has been some of the greatest feedback that I've heard on our mentoring portion of the program, is that having that outlet to be able to discuss these issues actually is also an outlet for some of the emotional buildup that we may have around some work situations. And that's some of the best feedback that I've received is, by being able to talk through this with my mentor, it actually helped me process it, and I didn't have to go home mad about something. We talked through it. We came to a resolution. I had some action steps. And at the end of the day, I was going home from work happier because I knew I was moving towards resolution, not just hanging on to something. And so, if you do have something that you need to share, and maybe there's some emotion you need to get off your chest, you need to express your frustration so you can go back and be the professional that you need to be, that's perfectly fine. Just always remember to transition from I need to get this off my chest to now here's how I would like to handle this. Do you have any thoughts? Be solution and results oriented. Be open to feedback from your mentor. As much as they need to shut down and listen and be in tune and not multitask during the meetings, do the same thing. Put a sign on your door. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Shut down your Skype, your email. Make sure you're actively listening and staying focused. Set your intention for your mentoring meeting. Ask questions and take advantage of your mentor's expertise and experience. They've committed this time to you. Please be sure you're getting the most out of it. Be committed to the mentoring relationship. Respect your mentor, respect the individual, and honor the confidentiality of the relationship of the things that they share with you. You know, I tend to share both personally and professionally, and you'll see the questions that come up for the first mentoring session. We'll be covering those. It helps to share the personal because that's a part of your journey. That's part of where you got to where you are. And so that helps provide context and create that foundation of trust for this mentoring relationship. The last thing that I would want to happen, though, is for someone to get off a phone call with me and go walking down the hall, oh my God, you would not believe what Kelly did. You know, I expect for there to be a level of confidentiality with the information that I'm sharing. And so let's talk a little bit more about confidentiality within this mentoring relationship. A major benefit of this program is the ability to discuss issues you are facing with your mentor. Their role is to guide you to overcome these issues and obstacles to support you to success. Mentors will be expected to maintain confidentiality, except in the event where it presents significant legal risk to the foundation. For example, allegations of client abuse and neglect, employee discrimination, sexual harassment, including but not limited to these things, those things that present legal risk. So those are things that your mentor will say to the mentee, I need for you to report this to either your supervisor or human resources for further investigation. The mentors will also be responsible for reporting it to HR. That way we make sure that the information is received by HR, but the employee has a responsibility, the mentor has a responsibility to report that as well for items that present significant legal risk. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the tools of the program. First and foremost, we have a mentoring agreement. This outlines some of the basic items that we're covering in this webinar today, and you'll receive this in an email. Along with, in these basic items, along with that, you will also set your agreed upon schedule for the mentoring appointments. You'll also document that in the mentoring agreement. Both the mentor and mentee sign this agreement, demonstrating their commitment to the relationship and to the schedule. You will also receive a goal worksheet that will be completed with the support of your supervisor and mentor. You want to make sure that you are setting SMART goals. They're specific, they're achievable within this year program that we have. This is a year program through December 31st, so they need to be set within this time frame. They're time bound and they need to be measurable. You need to know if you've reached success with these goals. So work with your supervisor, your facility director, and your mentor, and these goals need to be designed to help you reach your career goals. You will also receive customized training. You will receive an external a training pass to an external vendor. Synacor will be paying for this 1-year training pass for you, and then you work with your supervisor and your mentor to customize what your training needs need to be to get you where you want to be with your career goals. So you'll receive a form for a training agenda, and you'll schedule your training quarterly, and that's going to be individualized based on the needs of each participant. We will also be using strengths-based leadership assessment for all non-management employees or participants, and the Hogan assessment for all management participants. These assessments are there to help you fully utilize and build on your strengths as a leader. If you're a Synacor manager, please, or above, director, please send your Hogan and strengths-based results to your mentor. If you have not taken either one of these, please contact Stephanie Alzadi. We will send you a copy of the strengths-based leadership book, and there is a code for the assessment in the back of the book. It is a short read. It is really good, and it gives quite a bit of context for the results that you'll receive and how to best use them. So highly recommend that book and taking that assessment. If you are a non-manager participant and you haven't taken strengths-based leadership, again, please contact Stephanie Alzadi. She'll send you a copy of the book that has the code in the back so you can take the assessment. Again, highly recommend reading that short book. It is really good, and it can give you a lot of context for the assessment results. So the deadline for your strengths-based assessment is February 28th. Results need to be scanned to your mentor and to HR. You will be responsible for selecting at least one action item every other month to work on and report back to your mentor how you're doing. So strengths-based leadership, really, we'll talk about it again in the next couple of slides. It is a way for you to lead from your place of strength, those things that you are naturally good at. And so when you work on those things, it becomes a very rewarding, kind of self-fulfilling, positive loop. And then if you and your mentor would like some assistance on how to best utilize strengths-based or Hogan assessment as a developmental tool, I'm happy to schedule a conference call with both of you so we can walk through and make some recommendations on how to best use. So this is a shot of my strengths-based leadership, and mine's going to look a little bit different than yours because I took mine in 2010 when we first started using it. And you can see one of my strengths is leading with input. And the whole premise of the book is the way that you lead is you build trust, you show compassion, and then there's certain action steps based on your strength that you can do to be able to do that. And for me, what I read for leading with input, this was really a trigger for me. I'd had my PHR, professional HR certification years prior. I had let it lapse, and this was a good refresher for me, a good reminder to go back and either get my PHR, SPHR, and I did that in 2011 as a result of some of the things I was working on with my strengths-based leadership. And again, very rewarding, gave me the information that I need to be able to lead the organization with input in regards to HR. So just one example of what the strengths-based assessment results look like and how you might use that. And so just one brief slide that I think is really important when we are sharing about leading from your place of strength. It really helps to make you more fulfilled and engaged in your job when you're able to do this. You know, if you look at this graphic, if you think about the one on top, your values, who you really are, when you're really introspective and you telling yourself the truth, what is really important to you in your life? What is okay and what is not okay. If you work for an organization where your values are compromised, you will not like your work. It will drain you mentally and emotionally, and that will not be a good fit for you. If you look down to the lower left, your strengths and skills, if you are able to use your strengths and skills at your workplace, this will be very rewarding. It will build you up. It will build confidence. It will give you energy and traction in your position, and you get to thrive the most when you get to use your natural strengths at work. And so this is why we love strengths-based leadership. It is that positive cycle that you can get in when you're leading from your strengths. And then last but not least, the bottom right, if you can align your action and behaviors with what your company truly values, and that aligns with what you value, and the job duties align with your strength and skills, you will find that sweet spot of engagement in the middle where you are fully engaged in your success for the organization and for yourself. At Synacor, as you all know, we value service to others, servant leadership, great work ethic, accountability, producing quality programs that assist our clients in their sobriety. So if your values are in tune with what Synacor values and you're able to lead from your place in strengths, you will find that success intersection right in the middle um, by using that strengths-based leadership. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the mentor topic sheet. This is a tool for both mentors and mentees that we implemented a few years back. Both parties keep confidential notes of your conversation, so you don't keep it out on a shared drive where other people can look at it. I usually put it either in an Excel file or a Word document, and I just type in a couple of notes from each meeting so I can remember things that we discussed. Maybe someone shared, the fact that their dog was sick, and so I typed that down along with the name of their dog. And then in the next conversation, how is Jack doing? Again, it's little things um, that let your mentee know that you are listening, and same thing, mentee to mentor. And then you can go back and reference those things as well as some of the mentoring assignments that may have been discussed. So the purpose of this is to help both parties remember those important items, because I don't know about you, even if we're doing a 30-minute session every week, sometimes those weeks are so busy it's difficult to remember what you had for lunch the day before, much less a conversation from a week ago. So let's look at the following example. This is a spreadsheet that I had with a former employee. Her name was Lee, out of Louisiana, and we started our program a little bit earlier that year in 2013. We did not have nearly the resources that we have now, and so we started it a little bit earlier in the year. And you'll see the first call we had was on January 10th that year. We went through the initial mentoring call question set, which we will be going over that shortly. Then the next session, we went over her Hogan survey and talked about some of the things that she wanted to work on. And then the next session, we went over strengths-based leadership. And Lee was going to take a look at that and decide which going through the assessment, what were some of those actions that she wanted to focus on. One of the things that Lee was focused on is building her executive presence as a director for the foundation. She wanted to improve her public speaking. We talked about finding a Toastmasters class. And then one of the other things that we did was talk about an article from Patty Azzarillo. Some of you may have heard me reference it, called "What Stupid Stuff Are We Doing?" And it's all about trying to find the frustrating points in your process and where you keep spending time, possibly unnecessarily, and seeing if we can find other resources or tools to overcome that and maybe not spend so much time on that part of the process. So we worked through that, and I highlighted it because she was going to read the article and go over it with her management team, and then we were going to circle back with that. And then you can see on February 7th, we went back to her action steps on her strengths-based leadership. Self-assurance was one of her um, leadership traits, and so she picked that as one of the things that she wanted to focus on for the next 30 days, showing where she was vulnerable, admitting mistakes or failures with her team, and having her team help hold her accountable. We talked about her Toastmasters class, and then we also talked about her STARS 12 training pass and what training she was going to be putting on her calendar for the upcoming quarter. So you can see this is just a reference sheet, so as I go through the year, or went through the year working with Lee, I could go back and review what were some of those things that we worked on in case I needed a refresher. Same thing on the other side. Lee had the same worksheet. Not sure exactly how she worded it, but so that way she knew some of those things that she was going to be working on for her mentoring calls. One update that we do have to the expectations of the LEAD program, as we've already stated, the expectations are for the mentee to call the mentor for their mentoring calls, or to notify the mentor prior to the call that they need to reschedule. So prior to, even if that's 2 minutes prior to. Ideally, you want to let them know as early as possible, but at least prior to, so they're not sitting there waiting and holding up their time if you can't meet. Unfortunately, we have continued to have mentors waiting for the phone call, only to be emailed later, sometimes well after the appointment time or the next day, or sometimes not at all. Sorry, I missed the appointment, or sometimes, unfortunately, never any follow-up. So we have had to implement a new expectation or rule. If a mentee has more than 3 no call and no communication prior to the scheduled appointment, they will be removed from the lead program. Again, we know everyone's busy. That's why we put it on the calendar, set reminders. And part of being a leader, honestly, is keeping your commitments and being held accountable when you do not keep your commitments. So that is the reason why we have implemented this. And again, emailing or calling even just a few minutes prior to the call if an urgent priority arises, um, that's acceptable, and it will not be counted as a no call, no communication prior if the communication is there. So next steps for the mentee. Every mentee will receive the mentoring goal worksheet after you review this videoed webinar. Um, Once you review this video webinar, you will get an email. It will have all the forms that you need plus all these dates that we're about to cover, so you do not have to write down all these dates unless you just want to. So as soon as you are done with this webinar, please email me and copy Stephanie Alzadi and ask for the mentoring forms and deadlines, and we will get that out to you. But that's how we know that you've completed the video and you're ready to receive your forms, because now you know what to do with them. You schedule your first phone call with your mentor no later than February 1st. If your mentor can't make it by that time, if you can do it in the first week of February, that will be great too. During this phone call, both the mentor and the mentee share their answers to the first meeting question set, which is on the next slide. And I will also send out these questions with the goal sheet, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. They will come out to you with that email. The thing that I will tell you during this first mentoring session is it's important to be honest. There are things that I share during my first phone call with my mentees that as a mentor I'm not proud of, but they are a part of my journey, they're part of my career, and they got me to where I am today. So while what might have felt like a mistake or an epic failure at the time, it might have been, we all have those in our path on our way to success. So talking about both personal and professional answers to these questions is appropriate and necessary. So here are the questions for the first mentoring call. Again, these will be emailed to you. Honesty is the key to building this trust, this partnership. Both mentor and mentee answer these questions. I recommend the mentor go first. Most of our mentors have had experience in the lead program before, and they have answered these questions a time or two, and so they know the appropriate levels to share. And quite often, opening that door and being vulnerable first gives that opportunity for the mentee to do the same. So tell me in your own words why you're participating in this program, both mentors and mentees. Why do you as a mentor do it? Why do you as a mentee want to do this? What makes you tick? What makes you excited to get to work and get out of bed in the morning? What makes you special? This is sometimes hard for people to answer because a lot of us don't normally brag on ourselves. What do you bring to the table that helps you excel? How do you stay motivated on those days where, you're dragging? What frustrates you? How would you describe your personality? What obstacles have you had to overcome? What successes have you had? So all of these things build that bridge of communication between the mentor and the mentee, build that relationship. And again, being vulnerable, open, and honest is key for this first meeting. So next steps for the mentor. As a mentor, you were chosen for the participant because of your experiences that can contribute to their growth. Sharing your experiences and your perspective is the largest portion of your role as the mentor. Of course, share as appropriate to the discussion, ultimately focusing on the mentee and their needs. This should not turn into a venting session for the mentor on most occasions, so just keep that in mind. The first few sessions are designed to help you understand the following about your mentee and help you as you work together. What are some of the blind spots the mentee may possibly have about themselves? How can you assist with growing the mentee's perspective to further develop them and get them where they want to be on their career goals? What principles would you say may still need to be further developed with this mentee? And where is your mentee's thinking or focus? And how can you broaden this to help them reach their career or personal goals? Next steps for mentees. Use the answers in the first mentoring session to gauge how you feel about the mentor mentee relationship. If you are just unsure of why this mentor was chosen for you, please contact me. Reasons for our matches are not always obvious. If it just isn't a good fit, we can always reassign to another mentor per our no fault assignment termination. That has been done before, and we are willing to do it again if it is just not a good fit. After the first meeting, you will set your recurring schedule for your appointments. Again, it is 2 hours per month, typically 30 minutes per week or 1 hour every other week, but it is scheduled per both of your preferences and availability. And again, try both mentor and mentee to put it in a time where you will have the least interruptions. We know there will always be some. Sign your mentoring agreement and send it to your mentor for their signature by February 15th. Again, all these dates are going to be on the email. Mentors sign and send to HR by February 28th. After the mentee, the supervisor or facility director, and the mentor have reviewed and acknowledged the mentoring goals, the form is signed and sent to HR for review and to be saved in your training file by February 28th. Annual training passes with external vendors will be purchased for all new participants. Effective February 1st, you will be receiving an email with your login information. You will be responsible for reviewing the training library from your assigned vendor and then scheduling time and working with your direct supervisor or facility director to put together your customized training agenda. HR or the training department can assist as well if additional direction is needed. Please just don't go to your meeting with your supervisor or facility director unprepared. Please take time to review the courses that are available. Again, this is your professional development as a leader. You should be driving with input. All training agendas will need to be submitted to HR no later than February 28th. Agendas will need to be a mix of live seminars, live webinars, and archived webinars to ensure facility staffing is coordinated appropriately. So when you get your training worksheet to fill out, you will see that there are a certain number of hours of training that is allotted on the clock, and that varies by tier. Certain number of live seminars, certain number of hours of webinars, and then if you want to take additional training, which of course is your prerogative, off the clock, then that will be completely voluntary. You will have access to the training pass for the entire year, and you can take from it what you want. Important notes for Tier 2 and Tier 3. It is important to understand that with Tier 2 and Tier 3 assignments, there is additional compensation that is tied to those tiers. And it's tied specifically to those tiers for the specific additional duties outside the normal job description being completed by the person in that tier. For example, maintaining the smart books and those updates, hosting either bi-weekly or monthly or weekly meetings with your peers. So there are additional things at each level, and that is what that additional compensation is for. We want to rotate individuals through Tier 2 and Tier 3 so that multiple leaders in the Synacor family are able to participate and develop with those additional duties of leading their peers. So the assignment is typically for 1 year, potentially up to 2 years. I believe we have had one for 3 years because they were the most tenured team member, and we had new team members coming in. So when the year ends, just realize that that tier compensation that you received that was part of your salary on your paycheck for that year will now be transferred with the lead manager or Tier 3 title to the next person who's now performing those additional duties outside of their job description. So that compensation moves along with the Tier 2 and Tier 3 assignment. There are a lot of resources poured into the LEAD program, a lot of dollars tied to this, additional tuition, the training passes, the mentoring time, the Tier 2, Tier 3 compensation, and so we just need to be very judicious with how we use those. We work to communicate this extremely clearly and upfront, and that's why we're going over it again right now to minimize any confusion or disappointment when the ECF is signed at the employee change form is signed at the end of the year, transferring that compensation to the next lead manager. So ultimately, the LEAD program has a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities, but it is work. It's your work on your career path and professional development with assistance and guidance from a mentor and resources from the foundation. It takes your time and effort and energy for your professional development. If after watching this video you feel this is too much for you right now, please contact me and let me know before the annual training passes are purchased by the foundation. And I have 125 on here because the video is a little bit later going out, then because of technical difficulties, we are going to extend that to January 31st. So please let me know by January 31st whether or not you still want to continue in the lead program. You can always reapply next year if the timing is better based on your work and personal commitments, because this is an additional commitment. So what does success look like? The mentee is the driver for scheduling, for form completion, and striving to meet goals. The final responsibility for actions taken as a result of mentoring and other resources provided lies with the mentee. The mentor is there to provide effective mentoring to achieve goals, promptly acknowledges and responds to questions, requests, and form completion. Mentors, please be on the lookout for emails from your mentee with forms as these deadlines are coming due in February. Oftentimes the mentee has submitted their form to their mentor, but sometimes it gets lost in email inboxes, so please be aware of that. The mentee ultimately should have an improved level of communication within the foundation, increased sense of connection, increased self-awareness, and improved leadership skills. The mentee should have clarity of their role for the foundation and also an improved understanding of other job roles and opportunities. Both the mentor and mentee will grow from the experience, preparing them for additional leadership and career opportunities. And at the end of the day, this program is being implemented to achieve results, always with our mission, service to our clients, quality services to our clients, and their long-term sobriety as the end result for our goals. So final review of the deadlines. Today, please set up your mentor and mentee tracking spreadsheet. That spreadsheet that I showed you, just open an Excel document, label it mentoring tracking, and make a little note. Email me, Kelly Webb, and Stephanie Alzadi. Request your mentoring forms. That way we will send you your lead documents because we know you've completed this video. By February 1st, please have your first mentoring phone call by this date and do the first meeting question set with each other. Both mentor and mentee answer. Those questions will be in the first email. By February 15th, review your development goal worksheet and appropriate training library with your supervisor facility director. Finalize your goals in your first 3 months of training. Scan your goal sheet, mentoring agreement, and training agenda to your mentor for review during your next mentoring call. By February 28th, scan the results of your strengths-based leadership to HR, your supervisor, and your mentor. If you are a manager and have taken the Hogan, scan those results to your mentor as well. HR will have those already. And by February 28th, have your developmental goal worksheet, your first 3 months training agenda, and signed mentoring agreement turned into HR. Again, all these dates will be in the follow-up email. Thank you for your time today. Looking forward to a great year of development ahead. If you have any questions, please contact me, Kelly Webb, at extension 3172, or Monique Krolak, our Director of Training and Decision Support, at extension 5908. Thank you so much and have a great day.